Hello everybody and welcome into the Grindstone Developments Late Model Stock Tour, live tonight from South Boston Speedway, and we've got another good one in store for you here tonight as the field gets closer towards the back half of the season. And thank you all so much for tuning in. You're watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Qualifying did get advanced early tonight, so we're on the grid a little bit sooner than usual. So with that, let's get right down trackside and get into tonight's starting order. The man on the pole tonight is the man who won the race last week, and that's the 84 of Tyler Barnett, one of the rookies looking to go back-to-back in his first two starts of the season. Bryce Rayner will roll off from the second position here tonight, the outside pole spot, if you will. James Harris in the 55, he rolls off from the inside of row number 2 with Randy Sample making his first start tonight in 4th. Tyler Meeks rolls off 5th. It's going to be Kevin Kirchar back to his outside in 6th. Jason Ethery will roll off 7th. It's going to be the other Jason in the field here tonight, and that's Jason Machado. He rolls off from the 8th spot. William Mann Jr. and Wesley Shaw rounding out the top 10. Moving on back to row number 6 on the inside in the 11th spot, it's going to be none other than the 10 car of Matt Walters. To his outside is going to be the 13 car of Brian High. Chris Logan will roll off from the 13th spot here tonight, and that will round out your 13-car field. Let's talk for a moment here about the race info here tonight and what you can expect. Again, we are at South Boston, so ignore the Nashville 125. That's the only spot that did not get updated here tonight. Lap count, though, going to be the same, still 125 laps total. South Boston coming in at just under a half a mile in length, right about 0.37 miles. Track temp tonight, we're back under the lights, so going to be starting at under 80 degrees. Sim temp 78. Partly cloudy skies and light winds to go along with it. And again, with the field getting gridded up here a little bit sooner than usual, we may have a little bit of an extended grid time. But nonetheless, everybody getting ready to go as you are taking a live view from our blimp cam. We'll be going out through various onboards here tonight, and we've got a couple new drivers in the field getting ready to make their first start. Looking forward to seeing what some of these guys can do. So we'll let the music die down and get the engines ready to roar to life. As we wait to do so here, you heard me mention that we've got a couple of new drivers in the field tonight, rookie spotlights, if you will. But again, I think the biggest one, arguably, to keep your eye on is, of course, going to be Tyler Barnett. Made his first start. If you go back towards last week, and we're going to go ahead and set one thing up here. We got the volume set for these guys to be a different order. So let's make sure we got it right so that we can get things rolling here. And by the way, talked about being in the back half of the season for these guys. The points championship is still very alive and real. But tonight, this is kind of that pivot point for a couple of drivers. Not necessarily the rookie sensation Barnett, but more so some of the other drivers that have been chasing this championship. Obviously, you think first to James Harris, who's been having a phenomenal season so far. He leads the championship standings, but only 6 points behind him sits Jason Nethery. Can he make a run tonight? Try to make something happen? Nethery's got some work to do starting from that 7th position. And you see now the field here going to get rolling, so it's actually going to be Bryce Rayner and Harris to take the front rows. It looks like Barnett did not make the grid in time. Looks like Matt Walters going to join him as the two cars that have to start from pit lane here tonight. And for Barnett's sake here, he's actually not even on the racetrack yet, so we'll see if he can get gridded up in here in time. But these guys are only going to have 1, maybe 2 parade laps at most before we drop the green. So he's got to get it sorted out here pretty quickly. By the way, we mentioned South Boston Speedway. This track, kind of an interesting combination of a couple of the different tracks we've been to so far this season, but obviously one of the shorter ones in total length. Now, there's a fair amount of banking in the corners here, but you notice just how narrow it is, especially on the straightaway. So while it's maybe not the hardest and most technical short track we go to this season, certainly one where you can't afford to make a ton of mistakes because there's not a lot of wiggle room for that error. All right, Harris getting one final check of the tires. Rayner to his outside will do the same. As we'll see if the pace car makes that hard left turn this time as they come off of turn 4. And sure enough, looks like lights are off, and here we go. Pace car pulls off. Bryce Rayner, James Harris into the restart zone. Green flag in the air. We are underway at South Boston. Good restart, clean for the field as they stay 2x2 off of turn 2 down the backstretch for the first time here tonight. James Harris quick to take away that first spot. Still 2x2 battling back for the 3rd spot here at the moment. Tyler Meeks on the inside trying to grab that position from the 47 of Randy Sample. This is another one of those racetracks where I'll tell you what, you can definitely make that outside work, especially early on. Now the cool track temp makes me think inside becomes better later, but we'll watch out here. Got some trouble. Is this Bryce Rayner further back? what has happened here to the 87. And we just got reports of a lot of drivers with issues. I think this may have been a hiccup in the system. Nobody actually had trouble at this time. You're going to see Rayner right here as they come off the corner. And he looks just fine in second. So whatever it was, false report there. No problems. And we keep it green here. As we now switch our cameras back live up front. Rayner is blinking out a little bit as he continues to try to chase down the 55 of James Harris. 5 laps already in the books. They click by really quickly here. Taking a look at the leaders' laps. Just about 18.8 second laps here. The last couple for James Harris. Bryce Rayner in the same category, but it's actually been Harris who's been just that little bit quicker over the last couple of laps. Matt Walters here with trouble. Another one of the drivers. We've seen him in the series before, but I believe maybe not his first start of the season here tonight, but certainly one of the few. And that's the driver out of Berkeley Springs, West Virginia. Now side by side with 84 Barnett, who also had to start from the pits. Let's go back and look at it here for Matt Walters, where it all goes wrong. This is coming off of turn 4, and talked about not much room for error here, and he gets just a little bit out of shape coming on the exit of the corner, and around it starts to go. Makes some contact with the left front, although I think he's okay. Nothing too significant there. By the way, for Tyler Barnett, 9 seconds back from the race leader, so he's obviously got a lot of work to do. As the 55 of Harris continues to try to sneak away from the top 3 right here. And with Harris already having multiple wins on the season, Rayner obviously trying to play catch up, but it's looking less and less like he's going to be necessarily a contender for the championship. Just not big enough fields here at the point in the season that we're at. But certainly still a contender to potentially try to go out and challenge for the driver with the most wins on the season, right up there with, of course, James Harris. And one of the drivers in the field here tonight that's actually carrying an onboard view for us here is none other than the 52 of Wesley Shaw. As we turn our attention back to that number 52 car for a moment. It's been a rough go of the season so far for Wesley, but obviously looking for a rebound here tonight. The glimpses of speed have been there for the 52, but just hasn't been able to put it all together for an entire race. So he'll be looking to see if he can try to match speed-wise what his teammate, the 55 of Harris, has got here tonight. How about Jason Machado in 8th? William Mann Jr. currently sitting 7th. He's already picked up a couple of positions from where he started this race at. You've got the 47 of Randy Sample still going to work here. And some of the guys up towards the top 5. Jason Nethery, though, working around his outside. And for Nethery here, talked about he had some work to do starting from that 7th spot. He got it up to about the 4th position, but battling the Sample here again for that 4th spot. And the inside, obviously better around the corner. If you can hold the outside, you usually get a little bit of momentum down the straightaway. But Sample, the power move, he's going to take that spot right back, and he will slide back into the 4th position. There's a rearview mirror of James Harris, at least what it looks like. And that is Bryce Rayner, almost breathing down his neck. And Rayner sits about half a second back on the straightaways as they get down into the corner. Seems like that's where Rayner's been able to gain a little bit. Definitely better on entry. But it's as they get to the center and exit of the corner where Harris has been able to either maintain or re-stretch that gap out just ever so slightly. You can kind of hear it there, but we'll go to the roll bar view and pull up the telemetry here. Listen to the amount of throttle time here for James Harris. These guys obviously lifting off the gas a little bit, but if they're using brake, it can't be much of it. For how short South Boston is, it's a pretty quick little speedway. With obviously the banking that it contains in the corners. You see Harris with a little correction there. Tells you how the handling of his race car is doing right now. Single filing out now through the middle portions of the field. Kevin Kirchar qualified in that 6th spot, and he's been able to maintain it since. One of the Fords in the field here tonight. He's got the old body style Ford Fusion. Oh, watch out. William Mann Jr. is going to go around. Big slide on the backstretch. And caution is out for the first time here tonight. As the 29 loops it back around, he'll head in the right direction. And man, we were just talking about William a couple laps ago, the job he's done to pick up a couple of spots here in the early half of this race. And now he's going to have to reset himself here. Obviously going to lose some track position in the process. Let's go back and take a look at what got the 29 out of shape. Don't think there was any contact here. I think the back end is just going to give way on him. We'll start first here with a look from the aerial view. You see he's got Jason Machado pretty close, but no contact there. Yeah, the rear just starts to slide out on him, and as soon as it does, around he goes. Car does slide out of the way, and I'll tell you what, for there to not be but maybe a couple lanes before you get to that inside wall, certainly a good job here minimizing the damage. That could have been a whole heck of a lot worse. As we watch this from another angle, now you see William Mann Jr. as he slides. He already realized it. He realized it pretty quickly, which was his saving grace here. And they're going about 90 miles an hour coming out of the corner, so he was able to lock it down in time to prevent any major damage. Let's watch the onboard view, though. Take a listen to the RPMs here. And they don't even sound like they jump all that much on him. He just gets loose. You're trying to get the throttle down, obviously, as soon as you can, and he catches it so early. Locks it down, but obviously by that point it was too late. Now the good news is that everybody did miss him, so certainly no major damage on this one as we get one more look here from the pit. And there's he goes around. Boy, look how close it was for Jason Machad. Has to sneak through on the outside line in that number 46 car. So we'll actually get just one more view here, and this is going to be from the onboard view of Machad. Watch what he sees. Sees the 29 starting to go. And man, gets off the gas and then throttles up as soon as he spins low. And what I will say is, you kind of notice from that angle as they were going through the corner, William Mann Jr. a little high anyway. Tells you that that car may have been already stepping out on him. All right, lights off on the pace car, getting ready to go back green. Harrison Rayner, pretty much a carbon copy of what we had for the start of the race. Going to do it again. Green flag back in the air. 24 laps complete at South Boston. Good initial restart here from 55 of Harris and multiple others. But a little 2x2 action once again for Meeks and Sample. These two have been battling through both starts that we've had here tonight. Sample this time going to have to make the outside work. Meeks on the inside. Watch for him to try to work him up the track a little bit here. And oh man, Sample just trying to shut the door. He got close. He's got another run here through 3 and 4, but he's got to make it happen on exit of the corner. It looks like he just about does. So Sample picks that spot up. That now moves him up into the podium positions here tonight. Tyler Meeks back in 4th. Jason Nethery currently sitting in 5th. So that puts him up a couple spots from where he started this race at. And boy, the other driver that you got to keep an eye on now is Tyler Barnett. As Wesley Shaw loses a position to the 84, who I just mentioned. Barnett was 9 seconds back there by Hafton starting pits, but now that we've gotten a restart, it's kind of evened it out for him, and well, he's making the most of it. He's already got himself now back up to that 9th position. Still some work to do, but you can see the consistency paying off for one of the rookies who told us last week in post-race interviews, said, listen, I've ran a lot of late model leagues, and I like these cars, and you can tell just those little nuanced things that he's figured out that some of these other guys are still trying to pick up. I mean, he's so smooth, and boy, just as I say that, look what he pulled right there. Big slide job right in front of the 13 of Brian High. Brian High making a return here tonight. It's good to see him back in the field. Haven't been able to call his name in a couple of weeks, but Brian picking up 3 spots so far here tonight. As you see, he's got the Fox's Pizza Den paint scheme on board. And for Brian High, talk about one of the drivers who we've seen in the Truck Series multiple seasons. One of his few starts in the late models here, but trying to pick up some momentum. And don't forget, next season, there's a good likelihood we're going to be back in the truck. So these guys all, of course, fighting to grab whatever sort of bragging rights they can get while we're in these late model stock cars. But as we turn our attention back towards the battle up front, this may be the most evenly matched that I have seen these two so far this season. I mean, Harris is able to get kind of the jump on the restart and kind of build that 0.3 to half a second gap. And it's just been kind of maintaining right in that general vicinity for both of these short green flag runs that we've had so far. Now, based off when we went back green, obviously still close to about 100 laps left in the race. So I still don't think these guys can make it on fuel all the way. So we still have one green flag pit stop potentially in the agenda here at some point. I think the bigger question, though, of course, would be when do you decide to make that green flag stop? And if we do get to it, do you take 4 tires, 2 tires, no tires? Those are some of the questions. We'll have to see how these guys decide to approach it. But man, Bryce Rayner doing a little something different here, trying to search for a little bit of grip, maybe a little bit of clean air, but he has moved up on entry of the corner, and you can see that gets him that really good exit. This time he goes back down right in the tire tracks of James Harris, but he's still able to gain it. And there's a big dive bomb. Is he going to complete the slider here? Oh man, what a move. Bryce Rayner, we've seen him pull that move before at other tracks, and that was one of the best slide jobs that I think we have seen all season. You got to see a replay of this. Oh my goodness, watch this. So James Harris here, not expecting this at all. Rayner's going to gear him up, says, I'll take it into the corner. Well, I'll tell you what, Harris actually got into the corner really high right there. I'm not sure if he saw that coming and thought he'd be able to cross him over or just let him go. But whatever the case was there, it sure looked like an impressive move from the 87. And up front now, Harris not necessarily able to make anything back, but he's hanging tough, at least at the moment. And obviously going to take here still a fair amount of laps before these tires wear out enough for these guys to start to see any noticeable difference. But it seems like now Harris is starting to make a little bit of a charge in the middle of the corner. Rayner, though, still able to fend him off for the moment. So we've got 2 Chevys leading the field. Make that 3 with Sample in 3rd before we find our first Ford, and that's the number 7 of Tyler Meeks, now up to the 4th spot. Jason Nethery still hanging on to 5th. Boy, Tyler Barnett continues to fly through the field here. And restarting the back on that restart, he has almost made his way up now to the back bumper of Jason Nethery. Tyler Meeks is going to be next in line for him to get by. And so with the way it stands here at the moment, for the 84 of Barnett, I mean, you got to think that you've got the speed here to go contend for the win. I think he's either hoping for one more caution, or he's going to have to try to maybe play out a little bit of strategy, because when you look at the gap between him and the leaders, still about 3 seconds. That's a big gap to make up here before we could be talking about the green flag pit stop. And I know we're still probably about 20-ish laps, maybe a couple more away from the halfway point here tonight, but certainly got to make sure you're thinking about these things early, not just for Barnett, but really the rest of this field. We talk about the top 2 being so close and battling for the lead, but they've pulled away by over a second from everybody else. So that includes Randy Sample, who currently sits in 3rd, maybe going to be trying to think about a little bit of strategy to play out on these guys, something to gain an advantage. But it's interesting now, you see Bryce Rayner, especially right there through 1 and 2, starting to kind of hook the apron. Let's go to the onboard view here and see what it looks like from the cockpit. You can see through 3 and 4, he gasses it up and uses the banking of the corner. But then as they get down into 1 and 2, a little bit lower, and then even on exit of the corner, notice he's got those left side tires below the apron, which you can of course do here. No out of bounds line, but certainly an indication of the different lines these guys are running. Let's hop back 1 spot here to the onboard view of your championship leader, and that is James Harris, the driver out of Texarkana, Texas. Take you back onto the onboard view here. Watch what he does. As you notice here, Harris is a little bit shallower on entry to the corner, and he's also diving it in a little bit deeper. So he gains maybe a little bit there, but then he loses it here through the center and exit, as he tries to hold that car down again just a little bit lower here over the 87 of Bryce Rayner. And by the way, Jason Nethery did find a way to get around Tyler Meeks. Barnett follows. So those 2 will pick up a spot each. Barnett's looking for 1 more here to move himself up into that 4th position. By the way, for Chris Logan right now, currently sitting in that last position, going to start to talk about lap traffic at some point here tonight. And the first couple of lap cars currently just crossing the start-finish line as the leaders are now working out of turn 4. So either just about a straightaway or maybe a little bit less separating those guys. That could certainly have a say in who potentially snags this battle for the lead up front. Man, James Harris talking about how good he's always been in the short runs, whether it's trucks, late model cars. It's always been the long run where there's been a little bit of questions, but boy, this season he's answered them all. Has found so much speed this season at all sorts of different tracks we've been to. Short run, long run, medium run. And here tonight, proving that even when Rayner got around him, still hanging tough. Now, what I'd be really interested to see here is if Harris is thinking about trying a similar move to what the 87 pulled on him. Getting that big run down one of these straightaways and trying to send it off in the corner and slide up clear. I don't think he's been able to get quite close enough, though, yet to do that. 53 of 125 laps complete. So we're going to now turn to the battle here for the 3rd spot. Barnett did get around Nethery. Now he's working on 47 a Sample, and he's also closed up on the leaders now. Actually, he hasn't. He's lost 2 tenths, but I think if he gets around these 2, we are going to see him start to close up on the leaders here a little bit. Barnett going to look to the inside right here. Boy, you see him really using a lot of wheel input inside of that race car to try to keep it under him. Looks like he should get clear the 47 on exit this time. He does. So Sample loses 1 spot here as the 84 goes by. 34 Nethery are going to be looking to do the same. And you wonder if some of these guys have been saving a little bit of tire on the general restart, and now they're feeling like we're getting to that point where it's time to maybe start pushing a little bit and see what you can do with what you got. Either way, I think if you're the 34 Jason Ethery right here, you got to do whatever you can to at least finish ahead of James Harris. Granted, I know 6 points doesn't sound like a lot, but we're getting towards the end of the season, and a 13-car field here tonight, and if those two are finishing 1, 2, or whatever it ends up being, a couple spots separated in the top 5, it just makes it really difficult to try to track down the 55 in the point standings. So best bet is going to be here tonight. You got to try to find a way to get past him. For Jason Ethery, still about 4 seconds away from making that dream any sort of a reality. Now, with 59 of 125 laps complete, I think we're about getting closer to that point of we might be in the fuel window. I don't think we've quite made it yet. Certainly nobody decided to make a pit stop yet either under this green flag run. We have now seen Matt Walters and Wesley Shaw fall a lap down. And those are the first two to go a lap down so far here tonight. As we now go back a little bit further, there is the 70 Chris Logan. Talked about him last week, unfortunately. Not last week, brother. I was trying to figure out who I was thinking of for a minute. It was Bryce Rayner last week who had the connection issues, but last week for Chris Logan and a few others, not the runs they were looking for either. We've seen a couple of different bad luck streaks this season with either bad connections or guys getting wrecked out early on, but Chris Logan has definitely picked it up here in the second half of the season of what we've ran through so far, with being able to keep the consistency a lot cleaner throughout the race and get himself to the finishes that he's been deserving. Here tonight, he's still got some work to do. Obviously, 12 seconds behind the leaders. Still a lot of laps to go. You never know what can happen, as Harris now about 0.4 of a second back from the 87 of Bryce Rayner. As these two continue to be the main two in the running for the lead, we're going to go ahead and take our first break tonight. We go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us. We'll be right back here at South Boston.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point. But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Welcome back to South Boston Speedway. Going to cut the break a little bit short because we have had a caution which has changed up things completely. Before we get to how it's affected the strategy, let's go back and actually take a look at the caution itself. Chris Logan gave him the broadcaster jinx. We were just talking about the consistency being there on the back half of the season. Well, here he is, unfortunately, coming off the turn 4. Car starts to step out on him, and around she goes. Takes a decent little shot there to the inside concrete. I'll tell you what, that wreck actually looked, at least to me, really, really similar to one we saw earlier for William Mann Jr. And it's tough here, especially in this car, because it doesn't feel like a big, heavy race car where, as it starts to step out, it's really obvious. I mean, these things usually hook up pretty good to these kind of tracks, and from the onboard view, looks good, looks good, looks good, and then just comes around on him, basically as he's already almost straightened out. Driver out of Hillsborough certainly not expecting that one, as we go look at this from a couple different angles and then get ready for the green here. All right, so as we turn our attention back live, getting ready to go back green here, Tyler Barnett with a little bit of strategy play in the pits to gain some track position. He knows how fast he is. He just needed to get himself back towards those lead spots, and he has done that now. So the 84 going to start on the inside of the first row. It's Jason Nethery, another driver with a little strategy play here. Going to start to the outside of the 84, and then you've got Brian Hyde, James Harris, row 2. Bryce Rayner getting himself buried all the way back to that third row. So a couple of these guys on 4 tires versus the front 2, which I would assume are now likely on 2 tires. But either way, let's see how the strategies are going to play out. By the way, I think we are now in the fuel window. These guys, I believe, can make it to the end. Something we'll keep an eye on, though, as well. Back into the restart zone we go. Green flag back in the air in South Boston. And it's a great restart this time for the 84 with Tyler Barnett. Quick to slide clear of Jason Nethery into turn 1. Tell you what though, man, Harris, he got another good restart. Watch out, he's going to send the 34 round. Jason Nethery goes for a slide. Can everybody miss him? No. Tyler Meeks with some contact. Caution right back out. Third one of the night. And if there was any questions about fuel, of it being really close, I don't think there is now. These guys should be able to all make it with that. That was the damage here for Tyler Meeks. Tagged him with the right front. Couldn't see from that angle. I don't think his car is too bad here. And he's got a little bit of damage on the right front. But let's go back first and look at it here. For Jason Nethery, looked like from the live shot there was some contact here between these two. But let's go back and look at it again. Obviously, Harris likely on some a little bit fresher tires here. And as they get into the corner, Harris just diving it in deep and maybe just thinking the 34 was going to roll the corner a little bit quicker or what. But just kind of runs into the back of him here. Nethery, yeah, I would say that was still kind of Nethery's lane, half lane, whatever you want to call it. I think Harris just wasn't expecting the 34 to slow up quite as much. And just runs into the back of him, sends him around, and then everybody's got to go for the scatter here to miss him. Jason Machado does a great job. Tyler Meeks, I mean, you've got, what, 2 seconds at most to basically react to that? That's so tough to do. Let's hear from the onboard view from Meeks. He's going to see this happen. And about 2 seconds later, well, he almost missed him too. I don't think that damage is going to be race-ending or even fast repair worthy necessarily for Meeks, but certainly going to catch your attention if nothing else. Is go look at this here from a couple different angles. And for Nethery here, obviously not going to be too happy. He's thinking, man, what the heck just happened? You see Harris give him the boot. And he gets tagged there by Meeks. So let's go back live now. We'll set it for another restart. And this time, going to be Tyler Barnett and James Harris on the front row. I think for your Harris here, you got to get aggressive. Try to get around this 84 car now, knowing how good he's been tonight. Row 2, going to be Brian High and Bryce Rayner, as we will try this once again. The iRacing.com pace car lights off. There goes the left turn, and here we go. Let's try it again. Restart number 3 of the night. Green flag back in the air at South Boston. It's like pretty good starts for about the front 3, and then they go side by side between the 87 and the 13, the 46 and the 29. And oh man, you can see Rayner there desperate to just slot in line here. I think he knows he's a little better than Brian High. He just wants the preferred lane here. Oh man, almost 3 wide out back. Boy, that got really tight right there between William Mann Jr. and Jason Machado. They both hold it together and keep it off of each other, but that battle can only go on so long. Something's going to have to give here. And Machado not looking like he wants to be the one to do it. A little more contact there. As they came off at 2, Randy Sample and Jason Nethery watching from just a couple car lengths back. More contact that time. Meanwhile, up front, top 3 already starting to separate, and boy, this is looking like a familiar sight. Only up to about a half a second so far, but Tyler Barnett looking like now that he's got the lead, he could potentially start to dig in and try to really stretch this gap on everybody else. And with it'll be 80 of 125 laps complete. Closing in on just 45 laps to go. Man, they do go by quick here. Especially when you've had as good a racing as we've had so far all night. I know we had 3 cautions, but when you look at what there were for, I mean, very, very minor incidents. Nobody's had to retire from the race for that. Now, we do have 3 cars 2 laps down. That includes Wesley Shaw, Wesley Shaw, Matt Walters, and Chris Logan. Kevin Kirchar, though, currently the last man on the lead lap. He sits back in that 10th spot. And for Kirchar's sake, shouldn't have to necessarily worry about being in any danger of going a lap down for, I'd say, probably likely the next 15, 20, maybe even 30 laps before that starts to kind of creep back into the topic of conversation. And if you're just tuning in, again, we appreciate you being here. You are watching the SB 125 here at South Boston Speedway for the Grindstone Development's Late Model Stock Tour. A big event coming up this week on Thursday for PGR eSports. It's the 2025 Fall Brawl. Make sure you head over to the PGR eSports website and get yourself registered if you are wanting to enter. Didn't look at what entry fees are this year, but prizes are well over $1,500 to the drivers that do make it to the feature. Going to be talking about heat racing before the feature. And I mentioned the heat racing because, boy, anytime you come to these late model races, it always feels like that. Where you're in these heats, it seems like the desperation is kind of always at a peak, if you will. And everybody's always trying to find something to get these cars to go a little bit faster. And boy, I'll tell you what, just looked right there for Wesley Shaw. This thing looks really out of shape on man. He's dirt tracking it. I would not be shocked if he goes for a loop here in a lap or two if it continues. I'm not sure if he's just that loose in general or if he's burned the rear tires off of it, but see, he's sawing the wheel back to the right on exit of the corner. And you notice the marble's way down there by the wall. These guys not quite going that low. But Wesley Shaw here obviously trying to make it work and see if he can get a lap back at some point in this race to get himself to only one down. Boy, for Barnett here, that gap over a second, that might be the biggest gap we've seen any leader host so far here tonight. And it only took over 80 laps to see it. And I think he'll try to continue stretching this out, but James Harris no longer in second, folks. Instead, it is Bryce Rayner in the 87, who's now made his way into that second spot, as he also continues to try to chase down the 84 of Barnett. And man, with 90 laps in the books here, 35 to go, we're also starting to get to that point where even if we had a caution, I would ask, do you necessarily go in the pit? In terms of how much of a tire advantage we've seen here tonight, Barnett's holding his own right now. And again, you know, we didn't get to see it as it happened live, but the assumption here is that Barnett would have taken at least two, but don't think he took four because he beat a lot of these guys out of the pits. Unless his pit crew just went to stellar work, but usually the times here in the pits are pretty close to even. A little bit of 2x2 now further back with one of the rookies and veterans, Randy Sample in the 47 in sixth place. On the inside here gets clear Machad, who looked like was holding that 7th spot for a moment, but Nethery's going to take over there now. And so you've got the Jason and Jason show back in the battle for the 7th spot. And you hear the way these cars kind of get out of the gas. You know, it's interesting. This is obviously the newest late model stock car, if you will. Back when I started iRacing, they had the older model, and it just feels like ever since they got the new one, these things are just so trimmed out for this kind of racing that just so tight down in the corners, and then straightaway speed, maybe not the most impressive of all things, but if there's a car that you're going to have to drive around a short track, you want to be able to enjoy it, and I think that this car does just that. But we talked a lot about the standings so far here tonight. Still got to talk about the schedule. We'll have that coming up, but we're going to go ahead and take a break first. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us as Tyler Barnett tries to grab his second win in a row here at South Boston.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing. Three by three. Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution.
ya. Welcome back to the Grindstone Development's late model stock tour. Tyler Barnett putting on his second clinic and just his second race of the season. 19 laps to go, and the 84 continues to lead by over 2 seconds over second place Bryce Rayner. Harris continues to fall back and now finds himself back in the 5th position. Not sure what the major fall off here was for the 55, as he's still struggling here. Boy, what's happened? Harris with potentially some sort of technical issue. I'm not sure what's going on with that car, but I saw him letting basically everybody by right there. We'll have to see if we can get an idea of what happened here to the 55. Let's back this up here for just a couple of laps, and obviously you saw where he let everybody by that last straightaway, but was there something before that? I mean, does he just get into the corner too hard here? What happens? Let's see. Watch the front tires. Let's go into the corner here, and it just goes up, lets everybody by. Again, not sure if he got too hot into the corner there or what happened. Backing this up just a couple of laps here to make sure if there was anything else obvious that he missed. He was running behind Sample there for a while. Seemed like he was pretty consistent until that one spot. Now, he had this issue as he was behind Brian High. Let's see what happened here. Gets into the back bumper of the 13, and that gets him loose. That gets him out of shape. Harris goes up the track, and it seems like from that point on, it's where he started to struggle. Now trying to see if he can catch back up and make his way around the 29 of William Mann Jr. With just 14 laps to go. This is actually kind of a pretty big deal for the 34 of Jason Ethery. I mean, he's 3 spots. Make that 4. Let's see, where's he running? He's currently sitting in 5th. No, yeah, 3 spots ahead of the 8th place running James Harris. And that's significant, folks. That's half the points deficit that he is currently sitting behind the 55 of Harris. Just as I say that, Nethery loses his spot. But man, I think for Nethery here, got to find something, right? Got to get up here and make this happen. At the very least, you have got to finish ahead of this 55. He's going to have to fend him off 11 more laps. But man, if you could find a way to get one more spot just to gain more than 1 point over the 55, man, it'd really help his chances over the next couple of races. We'll keep an eye on it, but the other thing I want to show you here before we officially keep all eyes on the leader for the rest of the way is the schedule coming up for these guys. Talked about tonight, we're at South Boston, just 4 races left in the season, and just about all of them are some of the most exciting tracks that we are going to go to this season. Talking about Slinger Speedway next week, that'll be a technical one, and then it's off to 3 of what I'd call crown jewels for short tracks, and that is, of course, Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway, then off to Bristol, which is basically the Daytona for these late model stock cars, and then off to Five Flag Speedway for the final race of the season, and of course, in real life, that is home to the Snowball Derby. All right, let's get back live now on track. The 34 of Jason Nethery is currently still sitting in that 6th spot. There's now only 1 position between him and James Harris. We'll keep tabs on that battle, but up front, the 84 Tyler Barnett now leads by almost 3 seconds over second place Bryce Rayner. And you did see a little bit of lap traffic here in front of the 84. Or was that actually behind him here? Let's see. That's actually behind him. I take it back. And some of that lap traffic is what Bryce Rayner is going to have to deal with here, likely before this race is all said and done. Just as we talk about him, Rayner blinks out. I hope that connection steadies out before the end of the race. Randy Sample back in 3rd. Now for Bryce Rayner here, we didn't talk too far in the point standings. Rayner is still back in 8th, only at 201 points. So, a 50-point deficit with the field sizes we've had in the races we've got remaining, don't think it's going to happen. So I'd call him out of the mix in that sense. But, boy, these guys got to figure something out here for the 84 Barnett. I know it's early and it's only been a couple of races, but, man, part of me starts to feel like this is what we saw with Craig Janzak from several seasons ago, where it's just dominance each and every race. The field can't figure it out. I mean, this guy, he has got all the experience you can need on a late model car, and he's showing you that once again here tonight, as Bryce Rayner now going to have to work around some of the lappers. Looks like he gets around Walter, Logan, and now clears Wesley Shaw. So he'll be good to go the rest of the way. Meanwhile, up front, Tyler Barnett, here we go. Working his way down the back stretch. And this race is going to be official as he works off of turn 4. He'll see the white flag in the air. 1 lap to go from South Boston. Well, the 84 came in last week. Everybody said, hey, who's this guy? New rookie in the field, first race of the season. What's he going to do? Well, he did exactly what we thought he was going to do. Went up, put on a clinic, won that race. Does it again here tonight from the back to the front. Tyler Barnett wins it at South Boston. 2 wins in a row for the rookie. And it's his 2 first starts of the season. Bryce Rayner going to take home second here tonight. And Randy Sample, another one of the drivers making their first start of the season tonight, is able to bring it home on the podium. Well, here comes your race winner. Going to show us a little smoke here near the start-finish line as the 84 continues to burn it down. Celebrating in front of the virtual fans here at South Boston. That might have been our quickest race of the season. It's only 9:30. Tyler Barnett taking home his quickest win of the season as well. And as it looks like the celebrations will come to an end, we'll go ahead and take a look at your finishing results here tonight. Again, the rookie Tyler Barnett, wins his second start of the season here tonight. That makes it 2 in a row. Bryce Rayner takes home second. Randy Sample third. Jason Machado in fourth. Brian High fifth. James Harris in sixth. Jason Ethery finishes in seventh. William Mann Jr. eighth. Kevin Kirchar ninth. And Tyler Meeks rounding out the top 10. Chris Logan finishes in 11th. Wesley Shaw 12th. And Matt Walters rounding out the field tonight. He finishes in 13th. All right, we're going to go grab your top 3 for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at South Boston. All right, we're going to go ahead and kick things off first once again with your race winner. We talked to him in Victory Lane last week, and we're doing it again this week. Tyler Barnett. Tyler, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, man, you won your first race of the season. Now you win the second, 2 for 2. Man, you came out tonight and absolutely dominated once again. The only difference was you had to start in the back. Tell us a little bit about your journey to the front and how you're able to pull away there so much towards the end.
Well, keeping it PG, I had some nature stuff to take care of before the race, and it took a little bit too long. So I started on pit lane. I thought my race was over. Even if I got a caution, I knew it was super hard to pass here. So I took the first run after that caution where we bunched the field back up, and I kind of just threw my car into it and just said, you know what, we're going to burn up our stuff, whatever, hopefully get a late caution to pit for tires. And the tires are pretty good, actually, at the end of it. I had a better right front than most people and about average rear end as most people. So came through the field, I was fast, and I was just driving as hard as I could. I'm sweating up a storm right now. I forgot to turn on my fan too, so that doesn't help, and I'm in California. But at the end there, I said, you know what, we're going to take 2 tires. Like, what's the worst that happens? If I lose, it's just going to be because of a bad strategy call versus not being able to pass, because I know those 2 guys in front of me, Jason and Bryce, are super fast. And so I took 2 tires, took a Hail Mary for it, and I thought maybe the car wasn't going to be too bad. Maybe it'll be like a perfect amount, or just a very neutral car, because the car was a little bit loose starting out, especially with the fuel load. But with the 2 tire stop, I was, like I said, it was a Hail Mary last second. I was going to take 4, and then I pulled into the pit. As they jacked up my right side, I was spamming the clicker to try to get to the tire relative so I could unclick the left one. I almost missed it. And it got me out first, and from there I drove as hard as I could. I did not have any regards for tires. I was really hoping for no caution because I was pushing the right front. That was awesome. That was one of the hardest I've ever driven. I'm super stoked about that one. I was watching the relative stay the same for a bit, and I was watching Bryce just kind of at 1.3, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna start coming anytime now. And then I got 1.4 away, and after that, I was like, I have the confidence now. I can pull away if I really try hard. And I knew if I got a caution, I was probably going to be screwed because I knew he was saving up a little bit at first. But I just drove as hard as I could. And I kept on looking over at the corner, like at the lap section, and I kept on just peeking at the 5,000 I rating, and I was like, this guy's going to come smoke me in a second. He's going to come get me like I'm standing still the way I'm driving, but I was able to hold on. I'm super stoked about this one. I'm hyped.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, you finish with a almost 4-second gap on second place Bryce Rayner. But obviously, not going for points this season, just out here trophy hunting, and you've got 2 to start. Could be in contention here over the next couple of weeks to grab the most wins of anyone so far this season. How important would that be for the momentum going forward?
I think after this one, this is what I'm gonna think about for a while. I got good momentum. Going for the most wins, that'd be pretty cool. Coming in here to a brand new league though, not knowing really what to expect, and having talented guys, obviously, like just watching throughout all the other races and this race as well, just trying to get through the field. Got talented guys, so whether I get it, whether I don't get it, regardless, it's been a success already, and I'm super stoked about that.
Absolutely. Well, Tyler, before we let you head out to go celebrate tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, just thank you for broadcasting. I hope we put on a good show tonight, all of us. Thank you to Jason as well as everybody in the field for racing me clean. I'd probably gotten to more people than gotten to me. So I do apologize for that for anybody that I did get into, but just them, the whole league. Man, thank the Lord I was able to come out here today. I didn't expect to. I love this track. It's one of my favorite tracks. So yeah, I just thankful for everything.
Absolutely. Well, Tyler, we appreciate you talking to us. Congrats again on the second win of the season, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, now we're going to bring it up to your second place finisher here tonight, and that is none other than the 87 of Bryce Rayner. Bryce, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Austin.
Well, man, you bring home second here tonight, one spot short of obviously the goal, but nonetheless, it was a pretty good run. What more, though, do you think you needed in that last run to go chase down the 84?
2 tires. I don't know. I came into the pits there and really thought 4 tires would have been, the difference. But it looks like clean air, 2 tires were kind of the key to get in track position and just kind of staying there, because it's like probably you've seen tonight. It was probably super tough to pass. I don't really know what else I could have done. Tyler's fast. He said it before, and he said it in the interview I was listening. He's just driving his what off, and he's killing it. I just had nothing for him. I'm dealing with huge shoulder issues right now, and 25 laps to go. I was driving left-handed, and then I was there with like 15 to go. I tried to push again, and I was running quicker or the same lap times as Tyler, but just when I passed James with that 1.3 second lead, I think it was just too much to claw back, especially if I was saving.
Well, nonetheless, it's a great runner-up finish for you here tonight. Now, again, Bryce, likely looking at the point standings, you're not necessarily in the conversation for the championship, but you're still in the conversation to potentially go grab a couple more wins and fight for the most wins on the season. Do you have any other tracks kind of circled for where you think you could get that next win at?
Probably Bristol. I think in 2 weeks. I think Slinger's next week. Not too sure about that track next week. But we'll try. I mean, it really stinks. I don't care to be in the championship hunt, but it is pretty cool to just battle and see what the points come out to be like. Last week sucked. I got into the race. My internet was going all over the place, had some major issues, asked for an EOL, was planning on racing, and lo and behold, I get shut out of the server. So last week was very frustrating, so I lost a lot of points there. Gained a couple back from James, but also Jason Nethery and Thacker's up there too. So yeah, probably just going to go run for points or run for wins. And I think we're hitting at trucks next season, so better watch out, because I'm good there.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Bryce, before we let you head out here tonight, to cap off a good finish for you, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I just want to thank James and all the admins and what they do for this league. Super fun league, super competitive, and just fun to be around every Tuesday night. So shout out to them. Shout out to Grindstone Developments for all their sponsorship for this league as well. Thanks to Team Conti Sim Performance, Martin PC, Digital Sim Sports, all my teammates over there, Road and Oval. Super stoked for this weekend for our Suzuka endurance race over there with Digital Sim Sports. And then shout out to Tyler for running a wicked race, starting from the pits, working his way up, get through the cautions and whatnot, and bringing home a P1 with that tire strat. So congrats to him. Congrats to Randy as well for P3. And we're going to go on to more trophy hunting, hopefully.
Absolutely. And Bryce, we appreciate you talking to us. Congrats again on the second place finish, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, now let's move on to your final podium finisher here tonight, the man who takes home third. Well, just as I said that, I actually don't see the man who took home third in the chat here tonight, so we'll go ahead and queue up here in one of the channels for just a moment to see if we can get him in here for an interview, and that is none other than Randy Sample. And for Randy, boy, I tell you what, it's a great run for him tonight. You know, I know a lot of the attention obviously went to the man who got the win, another one of the rookies, and of course that being, you know, none other than Tyler Barnett, but Randy Sample, that's an impressive run to have, third place in your first race of the season. And we'll go ahead and text real quick just to see if we can get any of these guys in here. And if not, then we will wrap things up here tonight. I'll tell you what, race-wise, this was another pretty good one. I mean, you look at, obviously, Barnett getting the win, but points-wise, we talked about the battle between Harris and Nethery. Nethery had a big opportunity to take advantage and get a couple of points over Harris tonight, but it didn't work out. Harris found a way to get himself back into position, got himself back in front of the 7 of Jason Nethery, and as a result, he will continue to slowly gap out Jason Nethery in the point standings. Otherwise, don't forget that next week, we're going to actually head back to one of the more technical short tracks we go to, and that'll, of course, be Slinger Speedway. You heard Bryce Rayner say, not sure how he feels about that one there. But otherwise, we'll have to see how things play out. And it looks like we got the third place finisher in here now, and that is none other than Randy Sample. Randy, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, Randy. How are you doing, man? First race of the season for you. You come out tonight, and you bring home a third place finish. How'd you feel coming into this one? Seems like the confidence was there.
Yeah, I tend to enjoy racing in South Boston with the late models. Just wanted to come in here and have a clean race. So not look bad for the first race with these guys, and knew a couple of them, so didn't want to put them on the spot.
Yeah, definitely didn't look bad at all. And, you know, once we got into that kind of final green flag run, looks like you were able to get settled and were able to finish pretty consistent in that third spot. You had a fair enough gap over fourth. But, you know, looking forward to the schedule and the rest of the weeks, we've got Slinger Speedway next week. Is there any other tracks that you've got circled that maybe you can do a couple spots better and grab your first win of the season?
I will put some work in, and yeah, I look at the schedule. Maybe Bristol.
Sounds like
Bristol
a plan.
Might be pretty good. So
yeah, it's the Daytona basically for the late models, and I've heard a couple of guys circling that one, so it'll be fun to watch you there. But, you know, Randy, to round out a good podium finish for you here tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
just these guys in here for putting the show on.
And Randy, thank you for talking to us. Congrats once again on the third place finish, and hopefully we'll see you back out here next week.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, and that is going to round out our coverage here tonight from South Boston Speedway. Boy, what a race it was, and what a win for Tyler Barnett. Hey, we'll be back next week with more action for the Grindstone Development's Late Model Stock Tour, but if you're looking for some more racing action on PGR eSports, join me this Thursday. It's the PGR 2025 Fall Brawl. Looking forward to it at Talladega Super Speedway in the trucks. You can catch all the action there starting at 10 o'clock. Make that actually... I think it's 10:05 that we're kicking things off, but you get the idea. Otherwise, thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, I hope you enjoyed. That's it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports. And until next time, have a good night.